Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today on this new edition of Remote Room. We're very excited about our event today, since in our newsletter, if you are not subscribed to it, now it's a great opportunity to. We have been talking about the importance of soft skills in today's competitive market and how we shouldn't underestimate its power. For technology and IT workers, there are some soft skills that are highly valued and are just as crucial as technical knowledge. For example, it could be communication, time management, network building, critical thinking, being proactive, or self awareness. Specifically, soft skills in the tech industry can make the difference between a qualified job candidate and one who can become a leader and a valued team member. So, today we will be speaking about just that. We will also learn that in order to have those soft skills, there is one skill that is the foundation of it all: self development. So remember, YouTube watchers, you have to be a subscriber to ask any doubts in the comment section, and we invite everyone on LinkedIn to ask any doubts you may have, and we will be more than happy to answer them throughout the whole hour. But first of all, we want to get to know our viewers better. So if you can, comment below from where you are watching us. So without further ado, let's welcome our guest of today to discuss this topic. So Stephanie, Head of Community at Tecla, Majo, Talent Acquisition Specialist at Tecla, and Daniel Laya, author of Inspirable, The Greatest Skill of All, and Director of the Behavior Lab at. So, how are you? Thank you very much for joining us today.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
We almost had a problem, but Majo is here now. Hi Daniel.
How are you guys?
Hello. How are you?
All good. How is everyone's week going? Thursday, almost Friday.
Very good. Excited for Friday and the weekend.
Yes.
Of course, we're all
Very hot weather here in Piura. I was telling Elke and Daniel that it's like crazy summer here, but
that's a good
I
topic
mean,
to
in the
start.
complete opposite. I
Yeah.
covered almost 0 degrees, windy here in Madrid.
Yeah, I was gonna ask everyone, what are you guys based? Well, Majo is in the north of Peru, in Piura. Daniel, are you in Spain, right? Madrid?
Yes, in Madrid. Yeah. This is a very cold week in Madrid, even for Madrid standards, and windy. The wind is the worst part.
And Neuge is from Argentina. She's talking from Argentina right now. So there's people from Colombia.
Yeah.
Hi, Maria Alejandra. Hi, Sofia from Argentina.
hello.
That's awesome. Okay, thank you so much, Euge, for that presentation, that introduction. We're really happy to have Daniel also here because he's gonna bring us all of the knowledge that he has with this brand new book about self-development. And of course, Majo, you already know her. She's been in a few videos before, and she's talent acquisition specialist in technology here at Tecla. So yeah, thank you, Euge. What you are planning for us? What questions do you have?
So first, for everyone to get to know you guys, to introduce yourselves about your professional experience. Majo, if you want to start to talk about your role as a talent acquisition specialist.
Sure. Well, hi everyone. Some of you already know me, some of you don't probably. That said, my name is Maria Jose Calle, also known as Majo here. So I'm a talent acquisition specialist here at Tecla, and my job basically consists of connecting tech professionals with opportunities in the US, right? So I'm very passionate about the whole process of helping candidates land like their dream jobs, and I believe like that like a new opportunity can change your life. So of course, self development plays a great part in this. So I'm very excited about this chat today, and excited to chat with Daniel as well.
Thank you for having us, and also having your perspective as a physician for this topic. It's very important. So thank you for being here today. And Daniel, can you tell us about your professional experience and your role at IBM University in Madrid? Right?
Yeah. Yes. Well, I think I have dedicated my whole life to people development, and uh, I have worked in Latin America. I'm from Venezuela myself, so I'm living in Madrid now. But I have worked in. I was going at memory lane is in South America. I've lived in every country except Paraguay, and also worked in the Middle East, and also here in Spain and Portugal more recently. And I'm very happy to be here with you in Madrid. I think I have two types of professional activity. One is related to the consultancy in terms of related to people development. All that is this part, interesting part of human behavior, understanding human behavior. And also I have a role at IE, also known as Instituto Empresa, where I am the director of the Behavior Lab, which is basically the unit that connects the, that connects the organizations with the students for projects that understand the behavior uh, the behavior of the people in different areas. So yes.
And for how long have you been at IE University? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. This is my sixth year, so I teach in two areas. In the business school, where I teach in the Masters of Talent Development and Human Resources. I teach two classes there: transformational human resources, which is how to transform HR, and the other is rated about company organizational culture.
Okay.
And with the university, which is bachelor's level, I work with the behavior lab, which is very interesting. I think there are two different experiences, because when you work in the business school, you have experienced people with already an interesting background, but when you work with the university, you also get fresh and risky ideas from the students.
Yeah, totally. And so today we also wanted to talk about your book, obviously Inspirable. So we wanted to ask you, like, what is it about for someone who hasn't read it or is like
Or
wondering
who
if to
wants to read it? Yeah.
wants to read it? Yeah. What do you say it's about? Like, just a simple, if you can, like simple.
Okay. Well, that's it took me a while to write that book, and so now to do a quick summary, but I will do my best. Um, Basically, the book is uh, I've been involved in many initiatives about people development, and most of the processes that are related to people development are, as I call them, like isolated, lonely process. You study, you have a coach, you have a therapist, so you work one on one, but it's yourself against the
The world.
daunting task that you have to learn. Yeah, and that requires a lot of willpower. That requires a lot of commitment. And the problem that we have now is that in our societies we have so many priorities, shifting priorities. Everything is changing so much that we don't have that willpower to stick to our goals with the discipline that we would love to do it. And then I started thinking, this is also lockdown pandemic thinking.
Mm. Everyone was
You have been
overthinking.
locked. Yeah, I was locked in a 90 square meter apartment for 8 weeks, and something needed to come out of there.
Yeah, of course.
And okay, which are those moments where
Mhm.
you learned something, a new skill, almost without effort, almost without dedication, and I came back to some concepts that I studied in university related to sociology, which is social contagion, and it was at those times when I was connected with people who inspired me, and we were doing things together. So I just a quick example, and I saw remember, Henia, that you told me that I would be short, but I will be short. I will try to be short. The quick example, I always wanted to lose some weight, to get healthier, to eat healthier, to do so many, all these promises you make by the year's end, and then by the second week of January, you always forget it. Um,
The
but then,
resolutions, right? The New
yeah,
Year.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I realized that I started getting closer to people who led a healthier life, who went more regularly to the gym, who were cutting down on alcohol, having healthier foods. And in 1 year or so, I lost almost 10 kilos. And it changed my whole life into that sense. So I started researching more on what happened. And then I started writing the book, and also contacting a lot of people who went through the same experience. So the thinking of the book is, I think this is the way in our super crowded world where we are, so many things are happening at the same time. I think it's one of the best ways to develop. So I think, I'm not saying this is the substitute for individual self-taught or any other option development, but I think it's a very strong alternative for certain things I've tried to achieve for years on it. Yeah. So the book is basically about that. It's about uh, all these experiences that I had myself, and the people that I talked about it. I created a framework so that it could be very easy for any of you to replicate, and to do it in your lives, in your regular lives.
That is
So
amazing.
That's awesome, and I love that.
I was telling Danielle that I just read like the summary of the book, and it was like super interesting. This whole concept of being inspired by like someone that you look up to, maybe on LinkedIn, social media, someone that you like, even your friends, right? Because it completely changes the way that you are seeing a goal. That sometimes, even if you have it like, I don't know, in a vision board or in a notebook, it seems like
Hmm.
something that it's not really easy to achieve, right? But when you start to see people doing it, it changes like a
Doing that.
lot. It becomes
Yeah.
something real that you can actually do for yourself. So I thought that was pretty interesting. It's super real. So definitely
I
trying to
think,
get one.
sorry, I think also during the pandemic, something happened, I think, to all of us, in terms of, I guess it was your case as well, that we expanded our networks globally immediately. So people
Yeah.
started connecting for a yoga class with a Japanese teacher, then for breakfast cooking someone who was in Alaska, and for so and this also uh, it opened the possibilities, because that happens to me with the healthy part. But I started thinking, okay, then if I need to choose any skill,
Hmm.
now the world is really global after the pandemic, so that I can contact and get into my tribe, into my network, people who are very good at that, and get closer to them, and get inspired by what they're doing. So, but the key to do this is, then I got it from one podcast that is called the School of Greatness, that I highly recommend. It is by Lewis House, because
Hmm.
he was interviewing people all the time. But the thing that I realized, that what's happening to Lewis, is that he was all the time himself learning. He was really open to the experience. So he was not the typical interviewer that wants to be the star of the show. So he was a person that was learning. And when I was listening to one of his podcasts, I thought, inspirable. And the word inspirable came to my mind. This guy is inspirable. He lets all of his guests inspire him. And that's what that's why he himself Uh, he learned to speak Spanish, learned how to dance salsa. Being an American from Ohio that never danced salsa before,
It's
and
absorbing
and,
all
and,
that.
and yeah, and it's but the word is the key, because if you are not inspirable, meaning opening to the positive behaviors of others, then why connect? It's the purpose of connecting is to connect with the positive behaviors, and I mean positive behaviors because I've been always been cautious of negative behaviors. You can also suffer contagious from negative behaviors.
Of
So
course.
inspirable is how do you let the positive behaviors of others connect with you and keep the negatives away. Negatives and positive has it's difficult to differentiate. What I mean by negative is something that is not aligned to your goals. So
Yeah.
Okay.
positive
And
is
that
something
can
that is
mean different
aligned to what you
things
want
to
to achieve.
everyone.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So if my goal is to relax and to have a calmer life, then a positive behavior is people who spend a lot of time in a hammock in front of the beach. If I want to be more physically active, maybe that's a negative behavior for me. So
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think, and I think it's always about perspective and also being inspirable. I like that, and because you mentioned that it happened like after COVID and everything, it actually kind of like opened the whole world, and we are like kind of like people from the world. Sorry, I think there's some noise outside, but that the same thing happened to remote work that we are always talking about because of Tekla and because of the things that we do here in Tekla. It's like after the pandemic, you as a company you can hire people and talent from all over the world, and as a talent yourself, you can be employable not only for your country but for many other markets, right? And that also happens if you keep yourself inspirable by others and by other people that are already in that position. So we have more people from Brazil. Hi, Josias. Hi, Carlos.
Hello, guys. I think it's very interesting what Daniel was saying and what you mentioned, Steph, because a lot of people have a different vision of their careers and their jobs and their entire lives uh, before the pandemic, right? And when
Hmm.
this whole thing happened, like they like were aware that there were a lot of possibilities. You don't have to follow just a career path or maybe your degree. So definitely seeing all of this and all of the creativity that the people had was pretty inspiring. Personally, it marked like a huge career break for me, and that's why I'm here and not in my previous job, actually. So if I start thinking about it was because I allowed myself to be inspired by people who were actually enjoying their jobs, and I stopped thinking that I had to work in a company or a job that didn't actually make me happy, that make me feel burned out. So I took all the inspiration that I saw from my friends, from people online, and that's how that can help us to make a change in our life. So I think it's amazing. It's super interesting.
yeah, and I think Maho, what you're saying is it also happened to many people in the pandemic is being locked in a place for a while. It helped many people to understand that as a person, I have to come first. I cannot be only preparing for organizations, which is something that is very important. Um, but we need to take care of ourselves as individuals. And when we're talking about self-development, I was talking with Eugenia this morning, it's not only self-development for the things that organizations are asking from us. We need to have a more ambitious view about self-development. It, it, we have a lot of people connected that work in the technology related jobs, and sometimes, and I think it happens with technology related jobs, it happens to lawyers, it happens to admin people. It's like going to the gym. So developing only your tech skills is like going to the gym and only doing biceps. So you are not healthy. You're not strong.
Yeah.
And when you have to do anything that doesn't require your biceps, you are basically weak. So I think one of the things that self-development is important is because it has to be driven by yourself as a person. So it goes beyond the tech skills. I think it goes beyond even the soft skills, and also goes into, and that's why we are talking so much now about well-being and healthy, because uh, it doesn't make sense to do a training, a course about effective communication when you're a person that is not sleeping well, when have bad habits. You're going to be angry and always kind of a difficult person every day if you don't have a full healthier life.
And
Mm-hmm.
the great thing is
So
that,
so so
oh, sorry.
so you need a broader, more ambitious scope when you're talking self-development. It doesn't this doesn't substitute anything that we are doing. I'm just saying beyond.
Hmm.
And that's why I think the Inspirable approach is positive, because if we do all the self-development in the way we are doing the tech skills, is like then we have to take a course in the morning for communication skills, a course before lunch for healthier habits, then another one, and that doesn't work. That's why Inspirable says, okay, we don't have time, we don't have the willpower. Find those people within your network that are doing these kind of things great, and try to get closer to them.
Hmm.
Just by getting closer to them and speaking with them from time to time, you will get some of their understanding of life, some of their habits into your set of skills.
Yeah, it's great because it's something that is within your power. It's something that you have to actively choose every day. And it's like on the with the environment that you surround yourself, as you've been saying. So it's really important to cultivate that. And also, from Mako and your perspective, like how can incorporating the skill self-development can assist professionals in their workplace or for finding a new job, like how it will affect in their careers? Why is it such an important skill for it?
Okay, so I think that self development impacts your whole life, like your personal life, your health, your love life, your career, of course. So if you're struggling in a personal level, mentally, physically, in terms of your health, it definitely that's going to show on your professional life, right? In your career, in your day to day job. So that's why when you are working with someone that they are not assertive when they have a problem in the work, or they just have a bad attitude, or they are just kind of unmotivated, that it's super obvious, it shows, versus when you have someone that is very motivated, they bring new ideas, they are passionate, they are connected to the mission of their job. That is like two different scenarios that are pretty noticeable, right? So I think that right now anyone that is at least making an effort to be better in a personal level, the little steps, because I also think that sometimes there's like these huge standards that we have, especially since we just are starting a new year, right? When we have like the new year resolutions, I want to be super healthy, I want to learn a new language, I want to travel the world, I want to learn these different skills, and I'm just saying this is me saying what I had in my resolutions, right? But I try to remember that what's the saying, like Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So it's something that it needs to be done slowly with patience. And also, speaking from my personal experience, when I find that I am not feeling motivated enough, what I do to keep on the track is to just watch YouTube videos, maybe of people that I admire, that are in the place where I want to go, right? And that keeps my mentality like almost automatically. So I find the motivation to go. I feel inspired, right? So that's the word that we're looking for. I feel inspired and I decide to take actions again. So in the professional life, definitely you want to work in yourself, in your self development, and this, I think, comes to the fact that you have to be honest with yourself
Mm.
and have self awareness, and be able to recognize those areas of your skills, professionally speaking, or your soft skills that you need to work on, right? If I'm feeling unmotivated, I'm at my work, why is that? What can I do to feel more motivated? How can I connect to my mission? If I'm not happy here in the position that I have, where is it that I want to go? Where would I like to be next? And how can I go there?
Yeah, and actually
So,
see why you're not feeling motivated, because maybe it's not aligning with your goals now. And also, what I've been learning recently is that when you rely on motivation, which is great, but the reality is that it's not going to be there every day. That's when
it's
discipline comes in. So discipline and consistency, they go hand in hand, but also they go like the days that motivation it's not there, you have to really stick to that, to discipline. So yeah, to be that's why it's so important to have your goals straight.
yeah, it's definitely
If
hard. No, I was like,
just to bring one, go ahead, Maho, go.
okay. So I was just gonna mention that yes, it's super hard. So um I just think that being inspired is great. And I was actually going to ask Danielle if you have like any tips for people that they are there, like they can get inspired from these ideas, but how can we sustain this in the time, over the time, right? So we don't feel unmotivated like 2 weeks later and we just stop doing it. What do you recommend?
Yeah, I think that's the trick of the Inspirable thing is that that's the main difference, because as you were saying, Eugenia, then you have to be disciplined, you have to do it. Now, I created a group in Headspace, the meditation app, because I've been struggling all my life to meditate on a regular basis. And I started contacting, okay, from my network, who is meditating? Let's create a group in Headspace. And we have been doing it for almost 2 years. And it helps you to know that your network is also meditating, that they're also doing it. Because one thing, I'm going to use my whole example. When you watch a YouTuber and you watch a person that is, I don't know, highly developed on something, do it, but it's not close to you, you can always have the excuse that, okay, it's that person because it's a super guru or whatever. Uh, but if it's someone that is close to you and that person is doing it, then the thought that comes to your mind is, I can do it. It means I can do it myself. And I think it's something that is the main difference. Regarding tips, I'm going to I'm going to maybe I'm using Hosia's example here, that about learning in public. Um, if I want to get better at learning in public with the Inspirable method, okay, that's the first step of the Inspirable method has 5 steps. The first step is identifying, okay, where you want to get better at. And let's think about Hosia's example of, I want to get better at learning in public. The second step is identifying in my tribe. I say I'm using the term tribe because it's a group of people, about 100 people in my network,
Mm-hmm.
that are,
Your
some are very
surroundings.
close, yeah, some are very farther away. But who are the people in that network that are good at it, that I have to start in contact? So then I start contacting them. But the third step is, how do I tweak all my environment so that the learning in public thing is more present. You start the content that you are consuming. How many hours we spend watching useless Netflix series instead of watching maybe something that is related to my goal. What in my environment is about learning in public? There's something that I love about physical books is that they are a good reminder in your room that you are trying to learn something. Uh, so, so the first step, identifying your goal. The second step, identifying your tribe. The third step is making your context align with your goal. Um, the fourth step is now that you have your goal, your tribe identified, now you start promoting actions with your tribe. I mean, actions from maybe, I don't know, we have a cup of coffee together every month, or we start doing something related to public speaking. Uh, so you start acting, and well, I have many things in that chapter because you can start acting in duos, trios, or even bigger groups that you start creating as long as you start doing it. And the fifth one, I think it is very important because um, it's about measuring your gains
Okay.
and not measuring. This is a big difference that I learned from one interesting book that is called the Gap and the Gain. Uh,
Mhm.
we usually measure our gains in terms of our objective. I want to be the best public speaker in my country or in my classroom, and that's an ideal, and that is very frustrating for two reasons. Maybe you do not get there, but also when you get there, you're not satisfied anymore. So about measuring your gains is in how much have I improved in this skill in comparison to where I was last week or last month? And it's only about measuring yourself against yourself in the past. And it's more realistic because you have,
Only comparing yourself with yourself.
yeah, yeah, and not even not with your ideas because ideals, sorry, because the ideals are very toxic. Uh, I'm not saying
Hmm.
they are not. Ideals are very good to have them as a vision, but
Yeah.
not to be
Hmm.
measuring yourself against them. Uh,
Okay.
so those are like the five steps of the process. So I have it in the book, but I also in the website beinspirable.com. I created a workbook so that people can download a PDF, and while they are reading the book, they can write down in every step what's happening to me, how am I doing,
I love
kind of
that.
making it happen.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah.
No,
Also, one of the things that I created is how do I say it? It's a kind of diagnostic survey at the beginning so that you can understand what's
What
the
are you at?
inspirable. Yeah, I call it the INQ instead of the IQ. This is
Okay.
INQ because inspirable quotient. Uh, to understand if you are inspirable or not inspirable and the reasons that could be driving your level of inspirable, and that can also be used as a starting point. Again, not to get to the highest level of inspirable, just to get better. Measure yourself with the previous month, the previous year, or yesterday. One thing that I do is uh, every night before going to sleep, I have a notebook close to my bed. And what have I gained today that I didn't have yesterday? And some could be very silly things and just a reflection of gratitude,
Hmm.
but also helps me when I look at my diary 3 months after. I say, "Oh, wow, it gives you consistency, discipline, but it motivates you because you are doing some progress on what you set up to achieve." And I think it's something is I think it's living the life with intention, not 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 like a headless chicken, doing whatever the environment is telling you to
yeah,
do.
Not
because
following
because
everything around.
if not, society is going to drive our agendas and our interests and our priorities.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that I would like to add there is that that's very important. I mean, to be like just not having a goal because it's a trend or because you think it's gonna look cool on your Instagram or your LinkedIn profile, right? But something that has changed the game for me is to ask myself why I'm doing this. Why are you working so many hours in this job? Some people are going to say like it's because of the money, but it's probably not just because of the money, but because of the freedom and the whole experience that having money gives you, right? So if you want to go to the gym, why do you want to go there? Because you want to be validated by your physical appearance. So it has to be a very like strong reason for us to keep going in the long term, right? So yes, and then we can start also working in our discipline, right? And it's
Mm.
funny because I started doing this journaling thing like 2 months ago, and I was like, there is no way that I write every single day
Every
before I
day.
Mm.
like this is not gonna happen. I'm gonna be in my bed, and then it's gonna be over for me.
Fall asleep.
Yeah, but I kid you not, I've been doing it for almost 3 months now, and it's a huge like little thing, and it just trained my mind to believe that I can also replicate it to other habits, right? So yes, I'm definitely going to start working on having these people like-minded or that are going the same direction. I'm trying to work on that to see if I have any friends or people that are actually in the same page as me, and I'm pretty sure that it's going to make like a huge difference.
Maho, it can be, so, what I found here also is that you can find people that are very different, but in that thing that you want to achieve, they are doing it similar. That they could have a completely different lifestyle, a complete, so my wife used to tell me, but why is that person in your network if that person is this way and the other? Yeah, but in this thing that I want to achieve, that person does it great. The
Right,
rest might not be, and that it's like, how do we keep it separate? The reason that I'm getting closer to that person, because it is also, it ends up being always a mutual inspiration relation. When you are open to the other person's experience, it's going to be very difficult that the person is going to be close to your experience. So you are. This is a process that I also like to call it like sustainable, because it's generating a self development. Weird, because it's self development, but we are developing together. So it's not only yourself.
Yeah,
It's
so
yeah,
it's,
human
it's like,
as a whole.
but one thing I wanted to share with you, and it's one of Inspirable has been is the book that I mostly recommend, but it also recommend this one, the 100-year life, and I'm going to tell you why. You're talking, Maho, about purpose. What purpose would you have if you knew now that you were going to live for 100 years? Would you be living the life that you're living right now? And according to this book,
heavy
it is
question.
very likely, no, but it is very likely that you, the three of you, are going to be living close or more than 100 years. And we are still living according to parameters of people who lived 65 years.
Right, right.
Uh, so it's, when we're looking for that purpose, uh, maybe that can help trigger. Okay, what are going to be my priorities? I know when you are in your 20s, it's very hard to think about that, but the question itself will help you change or connect with different things as well, because we talked about burnout. Maho, you talked about burnout. And imagine how many times are you going to be burnout if you in a working life of 50 years.
I don't want to
We,
imagine.
we, we, we will get burned out every 10 years or every eight, I don't know. So being inspirable is one of the ways either to avoid somehow getting burnout that often or to bounce back faster.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's also to, and I think it's also, we are talking about technical skills, it's about how you then transform yourself through self development into something different. Maybe it's you're going to continue in the same area of work, but in a different way.
Career path,
Because
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's going to be very unlikely that you're going to be doing the same job that you're doing on your 20s when you're 60s. Not because you cannot do it, but it's because yourself, you're going to be another person. And you're
Yeah.
going to be another person in your 30s.
And
Yeah,
you
of course.
And
I
also,
sound like an old person saying this kind of things, but yeah. But,
No. And I think even in your 20s, there's moments that you are kind of like changes the way you see life, right? And you are becoming more inspirable with the things that you want to achieve. And that's something that happens like mid 20s, I think. And I just want to remind everyone that can put comments and questions on the YouTube box or the LinkedIn. Everyone is really attentive, but don't be shy and put on your comments or any comment that you want to make or a question if you want to do one. Daniel, I want to ask you, do you think communities around this type of like with inspirable method in your book are a huge part of it? Because I was when you were talking about like your tribes, your groups of two, three, four, and the community that you build for meditation. I was thinking about that because we just started a community for remote workers in Latam that are looking to work remote for a US or European company, because sometimes can feel isolated like remote work, right? It has so many perks and so many incredible things for your career, especially if you are in technology, that you can start building really cool projects that are not even in your country, stuff like that. But it also can be really isolated. So what do you think about that? About communities and like virtual communities like the one we just built on Discord?
I think definitely they are fundamental. And look, because I think this is even more powerful to what we had. Because in a community, even if in a virtual community, you connect
Mm-hmm.
also more when you need it or when you're ready to receive or when you're ready to give, because there are some moments in life where we're not ready for either. uh, I don't know, I have to finalize this project, I don't want to have anybody near me and I need to do it. There are some moments like that, but there are other moments where we need to connect, where I feel lonely, where I need an opinion, but I also need to is this growth that happened in the traditional workplace that happened when you were working next to other people, and how do we replicate this in a sense in the communities? Mm, I I do think that in this type of communities, maybe it is interesting to have certain activities from time to time that are related to connecting people with their personal objectives. You know, yesterday
Yeah.
I was delivering a workshop in one company, and there is one question that I use for this, that I asked them, okay, in your professional life, you know, what is the kind of things or achievement that you would like to have in the next 10 years or so?
Mm-hmm.
And this is a very simple question, but for some people is, okay, I would like to be a manager in this place, or I would like to create my own business. I would like to go and there always one person says, I want to go and sell drinks in front of the beach or something. Uh, but it that indirectly is connecting the purposes of everybody that is in the community. And once you start there, then indirectly you think, okay, I want to run a marathon, and that person also wants to run a marathon.
Mm.
And I start getting closer to people that want to achieve the thing, or maybe they have achieved the things that I want to achieve. And that's guidance. That's the difference of doing it on your own and having this steep learning curve of doing it on your own. I also think, Stephanie, that uh, younger generations have an advantage on that because I think I grew in a world that was way more individualistic than it is now, at least in terms of possibilities. And now there is much more sense of belonging to many communities and many tribes.
Mm.
And if an
That's true.
organization like Tecla can support it and make it stronger, it's transforming Tecla into from a network that connecting people to jobs to a network that is also boosting the development of the people that are in there. Yeah?
That's
Yeah, that's the goal.
well, that's great. And I just kept thinking about the book that you mentioned, Danielle, and I just realized how long actually life is, right? And sometimes I can kind of like became aware of that, but like the old mindset was that we like in our careers had to keep going in the same path for our whole lives.
Forever.
Mm.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
like if you're a lawyer, you're forever going to be a lawyer, or if you are a business administrator, then that's the path you're going to follow in a corporate job or something like that. But now things have changed a lot, and definitely one of the things that you said is that we if we don't kind of ask ourselves the question of what we want to do with our lives, then we're probably going to get burned out, right? So for anyone that is maybe in that point of their careers, self-development is huge, and it can feel a little lonely when you don't have someone to support you or to that is like in the same page as you, like your friends in your physical environment. But there's always with technology the chance to access to those communities and groups, probably at first like in a digital way, but then you can connect with them and make them happen like in real life, right? Or if
Yeah, of
not,
course.
they are not already there, why don't you create that? Why aren't you like the first person to initiate that? Maybe you will find out that there's more people interested in meditation or running a marathon, and you thought that wasn't the case just because you weren't open to that.
Yeah.
So that's a good point for me.
And also
And
self-development
it's,
is really important to choose exactly what you want to do, because also we've been talking about how many opportunities you have today and how but also that can be overwhelming. I have been experiencing that. I like finished college just like 2 months ago, and it was like, what do I do now? And you have so much opportunities or like many paths that you can go. And I really had to listen to myself and be, okay, now what do I want to do in the following the year or 2 years, like that. But having self-development is important to listen to yourself and learn that. So also what it's important not only for choosing your career, but also for when you choose to advance in it. So something that I wanted to ask you all about is, what are some key areas of personal development that you think that are crucial for advancing one's career? Like, what do you think are the key aspects that someone should invest in to boost their careers? It could be maybe communication skills. It can be
yeah.
personal
Can I say
development.
something before jumping into that? Is uh, also in the book. You know, we are a lot. We were educated to choose,
Mm.
and in the word in the book, I avoid that word because sometimes we need to explore, and choosing sometimes can be rigid, and
Mm.
or at least understanding that our choices are up for review anytime.
Non-changeable. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's when I was a traditional coach, the first part of the coaching process was, okay, what's your objective? And that
Mm-hmm.
sentence in itself blocked so many
So
people
many
because
people.
I don't know. I don't want to choose it.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I have. So I was an outplacement coach. So outplacement coaches help people that have lost their jobs. And
Mhm.
hey, mate, I just lost my job. So don't ask me what I want to do. So what's my objective? And it's in the book I talk more about defining an area of exploration. So rather than choosing one path. Um, Going to your question, I think I'm also going. I also bring it to my book, but I got it from the 100-year life. It's there are four areas of skills that we need to. I will go more concrete, but first I want to tell you the four areas that mentions the Linda Grafton book. First, you need financial assets. So you need to develop financial assets. So any person needs understanding of
Basic.
finances,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not. It was basic at some point, Stephanie. Now it's not basic anymore because now everybody needs to understand about crypto, about so many other things that are not that simple. So financial assets. Second thing you need to develop is your transformational assets. Are those skills that you can acquire, but you can take it from one job to the other to a different moment. So I am going to be very simple. Being organized. This is a skill that you can transfer wherever you go. Uh, so that it is a skill that if you invest in it, you can have it your whole life and make it profitable for you. Sometimes you need a skill that is only for your current job, but my recommendation is try also to identify which is the luggage that you can take with yourself when you leave, when you decide to change your career or something changes in your life. So those are transformational skills. The other one is vitality skills. And what I mean vitality is people underestimate the importance of having taking care of their health.
Mm.
Going to work not tired, energized, focused, with your brain 100% active. So everything that is related to vitality is very important to develop. Uh, I spent most of my life sleeping 6 hours a night because I thought that's what I needed. Then I started reading so much about sleeping, and then I started. That was one of my development areas: sleeping more, sleeping more, sleeping more. When I started sleeping 8 hours a night, I told my wife I felt like I had two brains.
Yeah,
It's a complete different
it's true.
experience,
For real.
and I was denying that possibility to myself. Uh, so I'm saying financial, transformational, vitality, and relational assets. And means relational assets, uh, having certain relations, contacts in your life, it's one of the most important assets. And I'm not saying from the networking perspective that that person can get you a job. No, those people that when you meet them, you go back home and you say, wow, I got so much. I learned so much. I got so much inspired, you know. So these are the four basic areas. From these basic areas, I tend to abstract everything that is related to working together. Nobody works alone anymore. So teamwork, empathy, everything that is related to that is. And I was having conversation with many leaders about what's the main element that they keep in mind when they hire someone. And
Mm-hmm.
in one way or the other, they all told me, I don't want a person that is going to bring me conflict or trouble every time I need to coordinate something. So you can be a genius, if you cannot work with the rest of the people, it's going to be very difficult. So that's the skill. But as you know, these skills are coming from the four big groups. It's very difficult for you to become a good team player if you are not doing well in your vitality, your relations, your transformational assets, and the financial person. Because if your finance is also not doing well, it's as you're lacking sleep. So you have so many worries. And I know it's not as simple as it sounds, but I think it's something that we should aim to.
Yeah, of course.
And it's very
And when you know is there, sorry, Euge, but when you know that all of these things matter actually for your career, I think it's easier to understand that each day you can gain something. Like you were saying that you are journaling and you're like your gains, you're measuring and all of that. Especially in the tech area that is really competitive and everyone is trying to learn the new technology, the new framework, and it's going to be lots of new frameworks every year, every new programming language, everything. You're going to need to learn something technically, like that's a fact. But if you know that all of the other things actually really matter, I think everyone will look at it differently, right? And from my perspective, I've actually learned that all these things matter in the last couple of years because I was one of the ones that it was always hustling, always like studying and maybe not sleeping so much, maybe not eating like healthy food and stuff like that. And then when you realize that you need those breaks with friends, with your partner, like with, I don't know, being creative outside of your work becomes you a better team player, like in your actual job. So I love that you mentioned all of that before going to the actual technical, and because we know that those things that are important, we already know. Like we'll know that we all went to um, university or a course or like a boot camp. Like we've all know that the technical skills are needed, but I think not everyone realized that it's a whole that you need all of the other parts of the equation to actually feel better with yourself and keep gaining, right?
That's why I
It's,
also think so what you said about you can be a genius, but if you don't have those soft skills, it kind of shadows it. Like a potential employee may see like great on paper, but it's not until they're actually working as part of a team or how great they appear as a college, like it becomes apparent. I think you can have all the technical skills that you want, but if you don't know how to work within a team or have those qualities, it doesn't. It kind of shadows it.
I would
Yeah.
like to leave a provocative thought for the people who are going to be watching this recording. And from the technical part, if Chat GPT 7 will really take over the world and they will do doing all the tech stuff, at least the technical, then what do you have left? And I think that's one guidance for self-development. A disclaimer, I'm not saying guys continue to get certified. Everything
Yeah,
that
of
you need to
course.
do, it's important, it's key. But don't forget that when this is gone, what else do you have? And if you are not working on that part, then careful because a chatbot might end up doing
Half
your
your
job.
job. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And when I just want to do a quick disclaimer as well, I know we're over an hour, but when we are talking about communication skills and everything, there's many people that really don't want like a leadership position or don't want to become like really fluent in their jobs, and they don't need it. But I'm talking about like communication with with your peers, with your boss, asking for feedback, receiving feedback, applying that feedback in your code. Like those are also communication skills. You don't need to be like the most bubbly person and the most public speaker to actually have communication skills, because sometimes e- what what I've heard from some from people in our communities, like, oh, I don't really want a leadership position. I just want really to be in the coding area and all of that. And that's perfect. That's a really valuable career path. But you also need all of these aspects as maybe in a different way that we were talking about, but also they are really valuable in that aspect.
Yeah, if you learn communication, as you know, this transformational assets. If you learn communication, you use it at work. You use it with your family. You use it with your friends. It's something that is once you incorporate it, then your life starts getting better next minute.
Yeah.
Thank you,
In
Sophia.
addition,
Yeah.
in addition to that, I just like to think it this way as well. If someone probably is hired and they don't know a specific technology, but they are like a great team member, they are very
Exactly.
respectful, they are motivated. This doesn't mean, as you said, Steph, that they have to be a leader or be public speaking maybe. But if this person like can do their job well and is able to learn, all of the other technical skills can also be learned, right? So you have to learn the technical part. It is much more, it is harder for you to train a person to be more assertive or to be, I don't know, respectful. It is like a total different set of skills. So sometimes, and this is an advice that is for myself and also for maybe the people that are here, with all the the uncertainty that we're having, layoffs and all of these crazy things that are going on in tech, sometimes we get like this fear of missing out, right? That everyone is learning a course. You go to LinkedIn, there is someone doing a certification, and you start thinking, hey, I'm not doing this, I should start right now to do some courses or certifications, right? Which is great, of course you should always aim to be better, but if you don't have like that clarity and you don't have like the objective that we were talking about, not having that clarity can also freeze you and you just lay there doing nothing, right?
Hmm.
So I would suggest for you to get clear in just one thing, pick that one thing and start doing the little steps, right? So once you start taking that action, then probably the next step is going to be more clear, and that way we don't burn out and get crazy in the journey, right? Which is also super important. So that's my little advice there.
Love
I
that.
don't know if you have heard about already. Many people are talking about the not the FOMO but the JOMO. Have you heard about the JOMO?
I
Yeah,
love that concept.
it's how for to improve your focus you incorporate the skill of the JOMO with the joy of missing out,
Ah,
Wow.
okay, okay.
so that you can also enjoy. You miss that it's not aligned to what you want to achieve. It doesn't. It's not. So that's not part of you. You're not distracted by anything that is happening.
I
Yeah.
love that. I'm gonna
Yeah.
incorporate that in my life.
Yes. I'm always joyful to miss out a lot of things nowadays, and that gives me a lot of peace actually. So it's a great concept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I like the advice that Marco said because it brings us to the last part that would be the final conclusions and advice for everyone that is watching. So if you have any last advice or anything that you would like to say to
You can start, Danny.
Okay.
Okay. Uh, um, I think the advice is kind of a thought. Is from starting tomorrow, have a look at everybody who is around you, and regardless of you like them or not, identify what in them is something that you think they do really good, and think about it. And usually when people does that, at the end of the day, they feel grateful for the people who surround them.
yeah, they have
And
to.
the other advice is buy the book, so that you can.
We're gonna post it on the YouTube description so everyone can go and buy the book, of course. Majo, your last advice.
My last advice. I think there is a lot of like helpful information in this life, but Next advice is to not let ourselves be in like that default mode and actually be able to be inspired, right? In line with Daniel's book, which I think it's a great concept. Not all the people are able to get inspired. Like you might see a great speaker or someone that is very successful in their career, in their own business, but not all of us are able to get inspired. Some people just look at that and they go with their life, right? So just I will try to do that as well. Like try to identify those qualities in the people around me that can actually get me inspired and do something about it. Take action about it. That's my
Let yourself change. I think this comment also it's really important that it says, "Hello, this is an amazing talk. I like Daniel's comment about not being the same person in your 20s, 30s, or 60s. I find that ideas, interests, and goals and everything about our being changes as we age. So Daniel, you do not sound like an old man." I think
Very.
it's really important also to let yourself change because I've personally experienced it that maybe I saw that I was changing or that I was having interest in other areas or something like that, and or maybe even in your environment you don't feel comfortable again or something like that is to enable yourself to evolve, and that is really important also.
yeah.
So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Majo and Daniel, for this amazing hour and 7 minutes of talk. And thank you, everyone who's been watching on LinkedIn and YouTube. Yeah, thank you. Someone says thank you guys for all the tips, super helpful and inspiring. And always know that your words have an impact. I think that's my advice.
yeah,
So be always thoughtful of that. Even here, our lives, we know that are for a small community, but I'm always really thankful for because there's a lot of comments and there's a lot of message afterwards. So that's really really cool from our community and from our guests. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Majo.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very much. Love it.
bye bye. See you on our next remote.
Bye.
much. Bye.
See ya.